As you sit down, we want to say a special welcome to any visitors here. If this is your first time, we would love to meet you face to face. We have a table in the back where we can tell you how you can get more connected here at Trinity Church. One just quick logistical announcement: the past few weeks, we have had to add a lot of chairs to the back, but there are still a fair amount of chairs up here in the front. So in the future, try to move. If you're a member, you need to be sitting in the first 5 rows regardless. But if you're new here, feel free to come to the front. We did order more chairs, so we'll have them ready. Anyways, thankful for what God's doing in our church. Normally in the summer, things like shrink by half, but this summer, for some reason, we've been doubling by half, if that math works. So, hey, we're thankful for what God's doing in the city of Austin. It isn't just our church. Other churches are growing too. We're super thankful for that, to be a part of it. Right now, we are studying the Gospel of Mark, and the goal of this is to get to know Jesus, the real Jesus, the Jesus who walked this earth, the man God, Jesus Christ, that the apostles wrote these 4 accounts of his life, and this is one of them, the Gospel of Mark. And so if you would look with me this morning, we're going to take a look at Mark chapter 10, verse 35 to 45. Oh, I'm sorry, 32 to 45. So Mark chapter 10, 32 to 45, a little bit longer passage than normal. Let's get into it. Here we go. Mark chapter 10, verse 32. And they were on the road going up to Jerusalem, and Jesus was walking ahead of them. And they were amazed, and those who followed were afraid. And taking the 12 again, he began to tell them what was to happen to him, saying, "See, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be delivered over to the chief priests and the scribes, and they will condemn him to death and deliver him over to the Gentiles. And they will mock him and spit on him and flog him and kill him. And after 3 days, he will rise." And James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came up to him and said to him, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you." And he said to them, "What do you want me to do for you?" And they said to him, "Grant us to sit, one on your right hand and one on your left in your glory." Jesus said to them, "You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism in which I am baptized?" And they said to him, "We are able." And Jesus said to them, "The cup that I drink, you will drink, and with the baptism with which I am baptized, you will be baptized. But to sit at my right hand or at my left is not mine to grant, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared." And when the 10 heard it, they began to be indignant at James and John. And Jesus called them to him and said to them, "You know that those who are considered rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones exercise authority over them. But it shall not be so among you. But whoever would be great among you must be your servant, and whoever would be first among you must be slave of all. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." This is the word of the Lord. Here's a question. Do you want to be seen? Do you want to be seen? Really seen. Not just noticed, recognized. Seated at the head of the table, called on first, given the platform. This desire is so human, so constant, that we have built entire industries around it. Social media, influencer culture, personal branding. We have convinced ourselves the whole point of life is to arrive somewhere where people are impressed by us. I was at Nordstrom's this week buying my wife brought the kids to Nordstrom's and was going to buy her a gift. And I noticed as we were checking out this little marketing strategy, and they had like all this yellow tape around certain sections. This whole thing was like to get into the elite sections, behind the yellow tape, you would need to be a certain status. And so if you I was asking what this thing meant because there are these different titles that you can get. And so if to be called an influencer, all right, you have to spend $500 for the year. But then if you want to be an ambassador, $5,000 you spend at Nordstrom's, right? To be an icon, to be an icon, you spend $15,000 at Nordstrom. Don't spend $15,000 at Nordstrom, okay? It's just like this whole idea that like this store was like, hey, we think that if we give people a certain title that sounds like you have this certain status, that people will spend more money because they know this thing in our hearts that we want to have a seat at the table. We want to have a seat of importance, a seat of greatness, right? This is what James and John are doing here. They want the seat. And they're bold about it. They want the seat next to Jesus. They want the glory. Okay, that's where we're at in Mark 10. They pull Jesus aside privately away from the others. And in verse 37, they say, grant us to sit, one at your right hand and one at your left in your glory. And the thing is, they say this, notice when they say it, right after Jesus has just told them for the third time in this book that he is walking towards death, towards betrayal, towards mockery, torture, a cross. He lays it out in excruciating detail in verse 33 and 34. And their response is, so about those seats, we're going to be great, right? Like all this talk of torture and death, but wait a minute, we're going to be great, right? Like we get to sit next to you. This is a tale as old as time. It is a tale as old as the writings of the Bible. If you go back to the very beginning in Genesis chapter 11, the story of the Tower of Babel. You guys remember this story? The Tower of Babel, this group of people after Noah's Ark, they're trying to build this tower to do what? The text says their motivation, to build this tower up to the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves. Let us make a name for ourselves. They're building this tower to make a name for themselves so they'll be seen as great. The Hebrew word name is Shem. It means their reputation, their legacy. It's an act of self-securing significance. Let's work toward being significant, to guarantee our own permanence through our achievement, precisely so that they won't be scattered. But God's punishment is the exact fate they build to avoid. He scatters them. He makes them nameless. He gives them different languages. James and John's request right here is a small personal Babel. And if you are honest, you have a human heart, you have this same desire in your heart. We all do. We all struggle against it. We all have to fight it. Self-securing importance and greatness through our efforts. It's a name-making move to secure self-significance. So the question that this passage is disrupting and causing you to question and look at, are you looking to earn your greatness through your efforts? Or will you receive it from God by grace? Okay, so let's look at this. Here's the 3 points of this sermon. The greatness we want. Number 2, the greatness Jesus describes. And number 3, the greatness of Jesus. So number 1, the greatness we want. Mark 10, 32 through 40, we see the request of James and John. Once again, Jesus is heading towards Jerusalem. Verse 32 opens with one of the most striking sentences in this gospel. Look at what it says. They were on the road going up to Jerusalem, and Jesus was walking ahead of them. So there's this picture Mark wants us to see of Jesus is in the front, leading the way. They're following him, and they're amazed that he's going there because likely they kind of have a feeling of what's coming. And it says that those who followed him were afraid. They were afraid. They were scared. What were they afraid of? He is walking ahead. They are behind him, and they are afraid. Jesus is not being dragged to the cross. He describes very plainly what is going to happen. And he's going there purposefully ahead of them. This is the king walking into his coronation, but a coronation that is an execution. A coronation that is an execution. And he knows exactly what awaits. You have the whole gospel event compacted right here in 4 verses. Jesus doesn't say, I'm going to die. He gives a 5-step sequence: betrayal, condemnation by the chief priests, handed to the Gentiles, mocked, flogged, spit on, killed, and risen. He's not predicting it. He's narrating. He's narrating. He knows exactly what is coming, and he's going there. Into that moment, in the shadow of the cross, James and John walk up and ask for the best seats in the house. Jesus is talking about the worst pain and suffering anyone ever has experienced on the face of the earth, and James and John are like, and we want the best seats in the house, right? Before we judge too harshly, a couple things here. They believe at this point that Jesus is the Messiah. They believe the kingdom is coming. They think this is totally reasonable. They're asking for what ambitious, kingdom-minded, first-century Jewish men would ask, believing God was about to flip the world order. Jesus asked them in response in verse 38, are you able to drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized? The cup that he's referring to, this is an Old Testament reference to the wrath of God. This is not a metaphor for enjoyment. You're not going to drink a nice drink. This is the cup of wrath. This is what awaits him at the cross. And they say, we are able. Yes, we are able. We are able. You get a sense in the text, they don't even flinch. This right here is one of the great lies of the human heart. I can handle it. I can handle life. I can handle this on my own. I deserve it. I've earned it. I can do it. I sat with a friend recently, and it was a meaningful lunch. It was a time of confession where this brother was confessing a lot of sin. And man, it was so meaningful and refreshing for me to just sit and hear someone being real about where they've at. And they admitted down in the deep core what was going on. In this conversation, they said, I think deep down it was this lie. I can handle it on my own. I can handle life. I can do this. I don't need church. I don't need community. I can kind of do it on my own. And then watching the darkness that led this person into, and then him kind of seeing it on the other end. This lie, I can handle it. Yeah, I got it. I can do this. No, you can't. We can't. This is the kingdom we've constructed in Western culture. There's a term for it. We call it meritocracy, the idea that if you work hard enough, earn enough, sacrifice enough, you get the seat. It shows up in different ways in our culture. Stoicism, that movement, basically says discipline yourself into the throne room. You can if you have enough discipline and work ethic and just go for it, you can get yourself into the throne room. Humanism would say, you already deserve the throne, just believe in yourself, and there you are. Expressive individualism would say, the throne should be shaped around your authentic self. Just create your own kind of great throne room in your mind. All of them are saying at their fundamental base the same thing. You climb there on your own. You work hard enough. You do it, you imagine it, and you can have it. But Jesus says the kingdom does not work this way. His kingdom does not work this way. So what is the greatness that Jesus describes? The reaction of the other 10 is interesting. The other 10 catch wind to what the two are asking, and they're furious, right? Verse 41, and when the 10 heard it, they began to be indignant at James and John. Why? Why were they mad? Why were they angry? Not because they were like questioning the disciples' motivation. They were appalled by the audacity because they wanted those seats too. The indignation is not moral outrage. It would be more like competitive offense. Hey, we were going to ask that. We want that. What's going on here? Those guys are going to get the seats at the table. We want the seats at the table. Verse 42 to 43, Jesus then gathers everybody together. All right? Says, hey guys, you need some coaching. Okay, come here. We got to talk about something. You're the future he knows they're the future leaders of the church. And if they don't get this right, this thing's not going anywhere. But if they do get this right, they are going to change the world. And they do. They do get it eventually. But what do they get? Check it out. Here's what he says. Number one, the Gentile rulers, the world's definition of greatness, of importance is this: lord it over people. Power flows down. Greatness means people serve you. People are under you. The more people under you, the higher you are on the ladder, the more responsibility you have, then the greater you are. This is the definition. But in Jesus' kingdom, look at what he says. Whoever would be great among you must be your servant. And whoever would be first among you must be slave of all. This is revolutionary. Nobody had said anything like this before Jesus, and it has essentially changed the world. That greatness is in serving. Greatness is in being the slave. Greatness is not in being over people, it's being underneath people and serving up, not lording over down. I was with Josh last night watching the Odyssey movie. In this ancient story, what is greatness? Odysseus comes home and kills all the, usurper people that are in his house. What's the gospel? Jesus comes home and the people rebelling against his house, he goes below them into death and dies for them. Completely flips the whole world narrative on its head. Instead of coming in, lording over and killing and taking the throne, he dies for everybody. This is revolutionary. Notice he doesn't say, though, greatness is wrong. He doesn't say ambition is sin. He's not against greatness. He's not against ambition. But he redefines the currency. The question isn't how do I get to the top? It's how low am I willing to go for those around me? How low am I willing to go? How unnoticed am I willing to be? How much am I willing to not care about greatness at all, but look around at those around me and then do what it takes to love and serve and care for them? And yes, some people are going to be more in the spotlight than others, but that's not the motivation. You see, the Greek word for servant here is diakonos, the word that we get deacon from. This is a word that is not a prestigious office. This was a table waiter. This was a similar word for a table waiter, okay? And then another word here, slave, doulos. This is the lowest word, the lowest rung on the social ladder of the time. Jesus is not playing with semantics. He is inverting the entire social order. Our culture, however, has co-opted this language completely. We have co-opted this language. Servant leadership, okay, is now a corporate buzzword. There are TED Talks, MBA programs, executive coaching frameworks, all built around the idea, and what they mostly mean is be a servant, be humble to get to the top. It's like a strategy to then eventually get to the top, and the whole real motivation is just to have more greatness and influence. Serve strategically. Don't just serve to help those around you. Serve strategically. That's not what Jesus is describing. He's not giving a ladder climbing strategy. He's giving a ladder lowering strategy. He's describing a way of life that flows not from ambition, but from the cross. From the cross. You see, there's a difference between performing humility and being a crucified person. Being a crucified person. Servanthood is not a personality trait some people have and some people don't. It's a posture given by grace that goes completely against your born nature. Our born nature is selfish. It is self-centered. We are born into this world wanting me, mine, my glory. Grace, the grace of God, the gospel of Jesus Christ is the only thing that's truly going to switch and turn that around into I really want the glory of God. I really want to help and serve other people for their good, not my own. Before Jesus points to himself, he's holding up a standard to these guys that they can't reach on their own. And if you're honest for 5 seconds, you do not naturally want to run to the lowest seat. You do not naturally want to climb down the ladder. Charles Haddon Spurgeon had this illustration that he would give his church. It's just a parable. And he would say, imagine a courtroom. Imagine a kingly courtroom where there's a king sitting on his throne, and this is a just king. This is a good king, and he's got his noble court around him. And in the middle of this, courtroom or whatever, this throne room, a gardener comes walking in, and he has a basket filled with good produce. And this gardener has come to the king to present this gift to him, just out of the overflow of his heart, out of the kindness of his heart. He respects the king, he loves the king, and he just really wants to give the king a gift. And so he comes with some produce from his farm, from his garden, and the king sees it, and he's thankful for it, and he takes it, and then he sizes the man up, and he says, this is really good stuff. You know what? I'm going to make you the head gardener in my kingdom. And you are going to live in my castle. You are going to be over my personal garden. I want you to come in here and work here. And Spurgeon explains it like this, that one of the noblemen who's standing there sees this happen. And he thinks to himself, oh, okay, this is how it works. Great. All right, here's what I'm going to do. So the next day, he goes and he has some horses. So he takes his finest horse, he brings the horse into the throne room. Here it is. And he's like, all right, king, here you go. Here's my horse. I want to give you this as a gift. And the king looks at the nobleman and he says, thank you. You may go now. And then the nobleman is what? Outraged. What? I just gave you this gift. What do I get in return? And the king says to the nobleman, the gardener gave me the produce. You gave yourself the horse. You may go now. See, this illustration, it just gets at what James and John are after here and what the gospel of Jesus does to us. When the gospel of Jesus captures our hearts, we become a person who truly wants I just want to give out of the gratitude of my heart, versus a person who is giving to get. Giving to get. Giving to get. It's just one of those simple, easily recognizable things if you look closely into your heart. Why are you giving? Why are you serving? Why are you doing the things around your house or at your workplace or in your church or in your relationships? What is the motivation of your heart? And if you constantly find yourself angry because people are not responding to you the way that you want them to respond to you, why are you doing it? Is it truly for God's glory and for them? Or is it really just for you? See, a spouse, when you're married, and a spouse is either not thanked or given gratitude, or a spouse is offended. How does this look in everyday life? To lord it over a person says, keep the score, take revenge. While servanthood says, my worth was settled at the cross, not by a person's gratitude. So you can name your desire directly instead of reacting with cruelty. Knowing, feeling respected. Feeling respected does not determine your worth. A gospel person, a servant person, your worth is not determined by other people's responses or opinions. It's already settled at the cross. So you can be a person who doesn't react with revenge and cruelty when you don't get what you want. Let's say you're a parent and a child blows off their responsibility or says something disrespectful or just disobeys or whatever. To lord it over would look like blowing up in anger, not to help them, but to protect your ego and your comfort and your sense of worth as a parent. The servant way says, love, yes, requires the boundary, but it doesn't require my ego to be stroked. You can hold a consequence calmly. Your kid does not determine your significance. Your kid does not determine your worth. You don't need their approval to be a good parent. You don't need other parents' approval on your kids to be a good parent. Your worth and your loveness comes from God. It's already settled at the cross. Let's say you're at work and let's say a coworker takes credit for your idea in a meeting. To lord it over would correct immediately, set the record straight on the spot to gain dominance. The servant way might look like, my value is not contingent on this room's approval and credit. So I'll pass in the moment and follow up with them privately, maybe with some humor and describe what happened. But in your heart, your significance isn't determined by people's opinions. It's not determined by how high up you get on the ladder. You actually see your workplace. Someone was sharing with me this week how, man, they're growing and seeing their workplace more as a mission field than their own personal ambition feeding factory to feel good about themselves, about where they are in the company. Man, a person said that to me. I was like, wow, can you just come up and share that with the whole church? I need to hear that. All of us struggle with this, okay? A teenager, let's say you're a teenager in the room. Teenagers in the room, listen up. You learning this as a teenager, man, is so crucial for your fruitfulness as an adult in your 20s and 30s. Learning to be a servant, serving when it doesn't matter. Learning to just serve when you're not recognized. Not doing the good things and serving and people noticing it, right? Also, living under authority, learning to be someone who responds to authority and lives under authority, even when the authorities seem like they don't know what they're doing. You learning to be a good worker, a good student. Man, that is so crucial for your life. For all of us, being okay with being criticized. Being okay with being criticized. You see, a person who's able to hear criticism without reacting with defensiveness, knowing that they are fully approved by Jesus Christ, man, that will take you so far in life. That will bring so much fruitfulness to your life. If you constantly overreact and blow up and freak out and want to quit over criticism, you've got some work to do as a Christian. You need more of the gospel in your heart. Knowing and believing that you are approved by God 100% because of Jesus and you're loved perfectly by him. How do you do with criticism? A servant can receive criticism with humility. Christ-saturated people are safe to be around because they don't need anything from you. They don't truly need anything from you. They're not using you to fill something. They're not keeping a ledger. They're already approved. You see, James and John are coming asking for seats at Jesus' right and their left. And he says to them, that's not mine to give. The writer of Mark, listen to this, eventually lands, I think this is a poetic little move that Mark makes. In chapter 15, verse 27, look at what he says. And with him, they crucified 2 robbers, one on his right and one on his left. Poetic connection. These seats get filled at the cross. The seats get filled at the cross. That's the standard, and if we're honest, we can't meet it on our own. None of us runs naturally toward the lowest seat. So where does this posture come from? Verse 45, the greatness of Jesus. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and give his life as a ransom for many. Let's look closely at these words because this is the key. This is the power source right here. This is it. 2 words, for even. This is the reason, the basis, the why behind the what. Next 3 words, the Son of Man, the Son of Man. This is a key phrase. This is a reference to Daniel 7. This is Daniel in the Old Testament language. The Son of Man in Daniel 7 is the one who receives dominion, glory, and a kingdom handed to him by the Ancient of Days. All nations will serve him. He is the cosmic heir of all things. Jesus takes this figure and says, that Son of Man, who's going to have dominion over all things, he came to serve. He came to serve. Came not to be served. He had a right to the throne. He had a right to the ultimate seat. He could have taken a crown without a cross, but he chose otherwise. Jesus chose otherwise. But to serve, to spend himself entirely. He spent himself entirely for people who had nothing left to spend. To give his life. To give his life. He lays his life down lower than anyone. A greater distance than anyone. A greater distance than anyone. You see, the greater distance you go, the greater you are. So Jesus is the greatest because he started in heaven. And he went to the lowest place and took the wrath of God for all of man. This is why he's the greatest, because he went the greatest distance. I saw this hilarious video of Marshawn Lynch, who's just this powerhouse running back. He played for the Seattle Seahawks, some other teams. And Marshawn Lynch is a beast of a running back. One day got a suspension. And so he wasn't able to play in a game. So that week he went to his high school and he practiced. NFL, running back, went to his high school and practiced with them. And they have a video of it, and he's just knocking guys over. Just running through them. And you see that and you think, wow, he's great. He went from way up here down here. Jesus went from the very seat of heaven down to death, and took the wrath for all mankind. And he describes himself as, this is a key word, a ransom. Ransom. This Greek word is lutron. The price paid to free a slave or prisoner of war. This is a price paid to free a slave or a prisoner of war. This is someone who can't buy their own freedom. He's paying for someone who cannot buy their own freedom. We were all people who could not buy our own freedom, and Christ paid it with his life, with his blood. He gives his life as a payment for someone else, the debt they could never pay. He gave his life and paid the debt that we could never pay. This is crucial. For many, these 2 words, for many. This is a substitution. This preposition means instead of, one for another, a swap. Jesus doesn't die alongside the many. This is different than that. He dies instead of the many. He dies in your place. He's not dying as just an example. He's dying in your place. The payment you couldn't pay. The punishment we deserve. He takes it instead of us. It's a swap. Christ didn't die clutching his good record. He's not on the cross clutching his good record, hoping that he earns something. No, he dies holding yours. He's holding your record. The record that only shows that you have failed and that you deserve God's wrath. He dies holding that record, paying your penalty. This is a doctrine we call substitutionary atonement. And here's Jesus talking about it right here. This is not a metaphor. This is the heartbeat of the gospel. Jesus is not just our example of servanthood. He is our substitute in servanthood. He goes where we can't go, pays what we can't pay, and absorbs the cup of wrath that was meant for us. We need to be clear about that. That's not servant leadership as a corporate model. That's the Son of God descending into the grave so the grave doesn't keep us. Here's the point. We don't serve to become great. We serve because we already are in Christ. He paid the penalty. He switched place with us. He gets the wrath we deserve. We get the robes of his righteousness wrapped around us. When you get this whole thing that he's describing here, the reason he's getting into substitutionary atonement is because when you see what Christ did for you on the cross, that's the thing that changes your heart. That helps you see, no, you're already fully approved. Look at what he's done. You don't have to prove anything anymore. It's a totally different way of living. It's a totally different way of running this life. A little story I'll share with you. So when our first daughter, Harper, was born, the day she was born, Megan was pregnant with her. She's at the store somewhere. It was a month. I love telling this to pregnant moms. You know, all our kids came a month early. So if you got a month left, could be today. Who knows? Be encouraged. You know, so there she was. It was a month early. She's at the store, and I was running. Okay, I was jogging. It was in August. So super hot. Now, when I jogged at the time, and if I jog now, typically my motivation for running, you know what my motivation is? It's to earn something. It's completely to earn something. I am not doing it out of the joy of my heart. All right, I don't like doing it. I do it out of obligation. I'm trying to earn staying in semi-shape, okay? Staying in shape, being a little healthy, feeling good, you know, working up an appetite to enjoy food later more. You know, it's all about earning something. And so there I was in the hot sun, jogging in the afternoon, all right? August 31st, 2014. There I was. I get a phone call and an event took place. An event happened in history. Our daughter, Harper, was on the way. And this was our first child. We didn't know how crazy having a baby was. So in this moment, you know, the next two come and it might not be as much joy. It's like, okay, here we go, like Navy SEAL time. At this point, I didn't know what I was getting into. So in this moment, I am just like so fired up. Like an event has taken place. Our daughter is coming. I got to go get my wife at the store. And I'm like a mile away from our house. So what am I doing? I am running. Well, I mean, I'm not running like, compared to most of you, it's not that fast. But compared to my normal self, I am running like the wind through our neighborhood, just flying, you know, like just moving, you know, like I will admit some neighbor was like, dude, you know, Mark, what's gotten into him today? I'm so, here I go through the neighborhood, just flying, right? Two different ways to run. Two different ways to run. This is life. This is the gospel. If you get anything at this church, I hope you get this. You can run your life to earn, to achieve, to prove something, to grasp for greatness, to grasp for significance. Or you can run out of an event that has taken place in history that has changed everything, that has changed the world. The gospel of Jesus Christ. God himself has come in the flesh. He lived the perfect life. He died on a cross for you. And what he earned for you is the wrath that you deserve was put on him. And he has given you the robes of his righteousness. And you are guaranteed love for all of eternity. You can run out of that, or you can keep running to try to earn something. And I believe that people that run out of the gospel, you can run with gratitude in your heart. You can run not afraid of criticism. You already have the approval of God Almighty. You can run in freedom, not afraid of failing. It's like you're gonna fail. Yes, you will, a lot. And it's okay. It's okay. Jesus is holding you and he'll never let you go. These are two totally different ways to run your life. And Jesus is saying to the disciples here, you guys want greatness? You're going to get it, but it's through receiving it. It's not by earning it. And these guys eventually got it, and that's why we have the Gospels. That's why we have the epistles, and these guys wrote a lot about this, and they turned the world upside down because they had the gospel in their heart. So 12 of all these guys died for this. They ran a race that was incredible because they understood, they saw with their very own eyes what Jesus has done. That's why, guys, every week we take of the Lord's Supper, because we want a tangible reminder of this crucial core thing, that Jesus' blood was shed for you, his body was broken for you, he has earned the approval that you need and that you long for, and he gives it to you by grace. And you come down here and you receive this meal for free in the same way that we receive his grace by free, his grace and his mercy. So if you would stand with us, the way that we do this is we have wine in the middle, grape juice on the outside. We have gluten-free options up here. We've got normal bread for you up here as well. When you're ready, you come on down and you partake. If you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, this meal is for you. You come on down and partake it and receive it. Let me pray for you. Holy Father, thank you for this meal we're about to partake of, but thank you more so for what it speaks to, what it symbolizes, what it is a sign of, that you loved us so much that you were willing to take the punishment that we deserve, and that you, Father, give us the love and the approval that only Jesus deserves, but that we truly have it and that we are secure in you. Help us live this way. Help us run this way. Help this get into the deeper parts of our heart and help us believe it in new ways this morning. We pray this in your name. Amen.